Are we buying into the scorching hot rookies Colson Montgomery and Carson Williams, and Kyle Bradish makes his long-awaited return this week? Those guys lead the long list of must-add names heading into Week 23 on this action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino, here as always with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ahne. As you can see if you're watching on YouTube, and if you are watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It's going to subscribe you to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Or if you're listening on the audio side of things, once again, please make sure you subscribe. And if you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you do that for us as well. And lastly, but what's going to help you win your fantasy baseball league is joining Matt and I on the Insider's Track. Through the Insider's Track, when we do these episodes like this, our waiver wire episodes, we're going to rank these guys, tell you how you should prioritize them when you're picking them up. And we still have a few prospects I think are going to get the call, during the rest of the way. And you will get an instant call notification going right to your phone when they get called up as well. So join us on the Insider's Track. That's going to help you win your fantasy baseball league. And this episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Enter for a chance to win your dream golf trip for two to any golf tournament in the U.S. Visit 5-H-E-win.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament, and it ends October 31st, 2025. Matt, we're in the home stretch. I know a lot of leagues. Playoffs start next week, 2 weeks. So, we better come prepared. And guess what? We got 10 names for you guys that might help put you over the edge, help you, win your fantasy baseball league. Matt, who do we have up first today, though, my brother?
Hey, look, we got a bunch of names that are going to help you kind of take things over the edge. Look, we are literally in the best time of the year. We have a week from true playoffs, in my opinion. And then on top of that, you know what? It's all about manufacturing wins at this point. It's not, oh my God, it's the whole season. It's, I got to win this week. And this is the perfect episode for it. Let's win. It's either make or break. Let's make the playoffs. And we'll start off with Royce Lewis of the Minnesota Twins. Now, look, Royce Lewis plays third base and has been on fire, which, hey, as long as he's healthy, he usually is pretty good. 5 runs, 3 bombs, 7 ribs. Stolen base, batting .318 on the week. Now, hasn't been hot since coming back from the injury, but to be expected. He hasn't played all year long. Pretty much it's just been a warm-up for Royce Lewis in those regards. Look, when a guy doesn't play all year and then finally starts getting it, it takes a little bit for him to go. But Royce Lewis has always been a picture of a guy that if he only played so many games, if he only did so much, he would be so good. And that's really just always been the story with him. I have no doubt that when he's behind the plate or playing in general, the guy is going to be good. So him being 46% owned makes me just want to own him for as long as he's healthy. Third base eligibility screams, I need him on my team. Look, add him in every league you humanly can, because the kid is just going to go off. He can hit for power. If the Twins allow him to run, he can steal. If people actually get on base from him, which it's the Twins, they're probably not. But if they do, then he will get some ribbies. The dude is just an all-around player. He could be a 5-category contributor. He does hit for average when he's actually on. So the kid is just really good, and I'm just excited to see if he can keep this thing going. He's more than a speculative ad. He's a full-fledged, I would say, out of all the names today, outside of one pitcher, number one priority ad for me.
Yeah, Matt, good take on Royce Lewis. When he's healthy, he's usually producing. Seems like he's healthy for the first time all year. I'm buying in too. So go out there, snag Royce Lewis wherever he's available and just ride the wave, because he's been especially hot over the last week, as Matt mentioned. Another hot hand, let's go move over to the New York Mets. It's Brett Baty, finally getting some time to play. Has second and third eligibility on Yahoo. Over the last 2 weeks, 41 at-bats, 10 runs, 4 homers, 6 RBIs, a steal, 366 batting average. I've said it once, I'll say it again. Progression isn't always linear with these young players. Baty is somebody who we haven't seen produce, in the bigs, the way that we want to yet. But 102 games played this year for Baty, 246 batting average, 42 runs, 15 homers, 41 RBI, 6 steals. I think he's starting to find his way. He has played about the last 10 games straight for the Mets, which is really good. Over there in the other side of New York, I got the Yankee gear on today, but over there on the other side, it's been tough for everyone to get playing time, over there for the Mets. It's, like I said, nice to see Brett Baty getting in and producing while he is. There's not a lot of time left. There's not a lot of time left to sit on guys who aren't performing. I'd go out there and get Brett Baty, who went 4 for 6 on August 22nd with 3 runs, homered in back-to-back games on August 19th, August 20th, 2 for 3 on August 16th. He's moved up to 6th in the lineup. And second base has been tough. It's been really hard to find consistent production at second base. And then maybe even you lost in Austin Riley for the rest of the season. At third, too. Brett Baty's got both of those positions on Yahoo, 24% owned. Sneaky little edge for some pop. And honestly, he's been showing off the wheels a little bit, too, this year.
Yeah, no, I like Baty. Baty's a guy that, if he has the opportunity, there's the potential of hitting a home run, hitting it over the fence, and that's kind of the key part. Baty totally does have it, right? And that's the key part. So if Baty can just do things like that, it's good. I mean, he always crushes the ball. He has an average exit velocity at 90.8 miles an hour, barrels the ball 13% of the time, creates hard contact 47.4% of the time, and just looks great. It's just, hey, the sum of things aren't great. The whole picture, he strikes out a lot. He doesn't walk. And he loves to chase and do all those wonderful things that we all hate. And that's the things that equates to a bad fantasy baseball player. But when he's hot, he's hot. And I'm ready to ride that wave for as long as humanly possible. So great take, Dom. Let's keep moving. Let's talk about Jeff McNeil of the same team, the New York Mets. Second in outfield eligibility. Honestly, 12% owned. This is a dude that should be owned just based off of the hotness. Nothing else. I've never been a McNeil fan. He's probably one of those names ooh, wow, Jeff McNeil. People get a little excited if you've been playing the last couple of years because he's always just been an interesting target for people. But so far in the week, 6 runs, 3 bombs, 9 ribs, batting .421. All key parts of why I would target a guy, right? Batting average off the waiver wire is something that I always try to target. If you've been listening to the show, you know that hands down. The fact that he's put up 3 bombs is nice, and the fact that he's just throwing up the counting stats overall. Now, yes, on August 23rd, he had a big counting stat day. I mean, he had 2 runs, 2 bombs, 4 ribs, and whatnot. But you keep going back and you look on August 20th, he had 2 ribs, batting .250. On the 19th, he had 2 runs, a bomb, 3 ribs, batting, and then as a batting average of .750. He's just putting up counting stats. He's just been consistently making contact and doing things on a regular basis where I think it's a little bit further past just this hot week. He's just on it. And when McNeil hits the ball, because he's a guy that honestly I'm surprised I see a batting average of .243 on the season. I always think of him as a guy that just makes good contact because the OPS is a 733. And, I just picture him making better contact. Him doing this over the last, I would say 2 weeks tells me, hey, okay, we're about to catch something that is about to do better and wonders for our fantasy baseball teams. I'm adding McNeil at 12%, especially in those deeper leagues. Maybe not in those 8 and 10-man leagues, but, 12-man, 14, 15, etc., NL only. That is where I think McNeil is a major target because he's really contributing right now. And I think this might last maybe longer than just a couple weeks.
Matt, great take on McNeil. And I don't think either one of us could stress enough here, on today's episode. With the very limited amount of time left, you don't want to sit there and hold on. Oh yeah, X player is going to be good. They got a chance to heat up eventually. No, you don't have enough time to wait for somebody to heat up. McNeil's hot right now. The Mets have been better for fantasy baseball purposes. That those boys are starting to hit a little bit over there. So with guys like McNeil and Baty being in these lineups that are hitting, producing, you want to go out there and grab them. Where you can, where you need the help. With the guy like McNeil, batting average, a little bit of power, counting stats have been good of late. 12% owned on Yahoo for McNeil. So go out there and snag him. And honestly, he's moved up to 4th in the lineup as we recorded here on Sunday. He hit cleanup for the Mets, so that's a very good spot to be in. But before we talk about the young guns, Colson Montgomery and Carson Williams, then we got a bunch of pitchers for you guys. Those names and more coming up next. And all right, guys, I want to talk to you about my friends over at 5-Hour Energy. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole in one for your energy game. Whether you're out on the course or need a little push to power through your day, 5-Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse favorite flavor you love without ever leaving the green. Golf is all about the good times with good people and good flavors. The great ginger lime flavor of 5-Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best part of the clubhouse go-to without ever leaving the course or chasing down that bev cart. Now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, or enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for two golf tournament in the U.S. Tee up that. Visit 5-h-e-win.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. This offer excludes the Masters tournament and it ends October 31st, 2025. And then, all right, we have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcasts better than ever. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes the survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedon.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out. And then, guys, I do want to keep this short and sweet, but listen, it's that time of year. Fantasy football is, prominent. It's on the top of the brain. Some of us are starting to zone out in our fantasy baseball leagues. Join Matt and I on the Insiders Track, and we're gonna do all the heavy lifting for you. You get those instant prospect qualifications. We have Bubba Chandler recently. A few big names still left down in the minors that are going to get called up. We got you on those. And then when we do episodes like this, we're going to rank these guys, tell you how you're prioritizing them when you're picking them up. And that goes right to your phone as well. It takes all the guesswork out of fantasy baseball. Let Matt and I help put you over the top this year. So join us on the Insiders Track. The link's in the bio wherever you're listening, watching, and it's available on any of our social media platforms. Matt, that is more talking than I ever want to do. So I'm going to pass this off to you, my brother. What do you think about these young guns?
I think my mic forgot to work. I think you got to keep talking. It'd be. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. All right, Colson Montgomery of the Chicago White Sox, third in shortstop eligibility. I just got to screw it down just a little bit. Great job, Dom. 27% owned Colson Montgomery and has been on a heater. Look, over the last week, 5 runs, 3 bombs, 6 ribs, batting about 220. Yeah, sure, the batting average sucks, but the counting stats have been there. Look at it. Look how Luis Roberts playing. Look how Colson Montgomery's playing. There at least is some upside with the two of them. And I'm ready to rock. Colson Montgomery in a position, too, where, you know what? Third base has been ugly. Guys are getting hot, getting hurt. Guys are just not performing at the position. I need to stream. Yeah, I'm gonna pick up Colson Montgomery, and I'm not going to care about the batting average. Batting average isn't always key if they're contributing in other places, especially if I have guys that are contributing in batting average that are going to, help alleviate the damage that Colson Montgomery's batting average is going to do. And, in like a points league and things like that, that is where like things become maybe a little bit more critical because, the dude has played 144 at bats and has 11 walks the whole season out of 44 strikeouts. And that is fugly, not just ugly, it's fugly. But, at the same time, when a guy is also crushing 12 home runs in that time and getting you 34 ribs, you kind of got to take the sacrifice at that point, right? Like, that's a great home run pace, 11 home runs in that time. And the ribbies for being on the White Sox, I think, is also another thing. And the third base and shortstop is another key part. So Colson Montgomery has some value right now, and I'm not really caring about the batting average, which is usually not the norm for me. But I think that with the production that we're seeing in the counting stats aspect, he's definitely worth an ad at this point. Again, 27% owned, and I'm sure in another week he's going to be 50% owned.
Yeah, Matt, I like me some Montgomery. Before getting the call, Montgomery was the 71st prospect in all of baseball, not too shabby. You can't get mad at a top 100 guy. And he was really known for the pop. Yeah, he had some decent batting average seasons in the minors, but was really known for that power. My thoughts, prime Colson Montgomery could look like a 30 home run guy with, a lot of RBIs and maybe a 230, 240 batting average, which isn't going to kill you these days. But will keep you afloat. So if you need some power, honestly, like Matt said, 34 RBIs in 41 games, not too shabby at all, especially on this bad White Sox team. Montgomery has homered in his last 3 games. He has 6 RBIs in his last 3 games. So go out there and snag the kid while he's hot. Might finally be finding his stride here in the majors. Let's move on to his rookie counterpart. Let's talk about Carson Williams. I think we talked about him at some point last week when he was just getting the call, when they announced it. Hadn't played any games yet. But you know what? Carson Williams looks good through his first 2, right? 3, 4, 7 through his first 2 games here in the bigs. He hit 7th and 8th in the lineup, which isn't great, but he homered in his first game, which was on August 22nd, went 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs in that one. In his second game here on August 24th, went 1 for 3, 2 runs, a steal. And Carson Williams, is somebody who has that prospect pedigree. He was actually, I think, a top 50 prospect, 47th prospect in all of baseball before getting the call. Has that power speed combo, had 20 homers and 33 steals in the minors across 115 games this year. Batting average isn't something that I think is going to be sticky with Colson Montgomery. It could be a 250, 260 batting average guy. Think of almost like a Jazz Chisholm profile. A lot of power, a lot of speed. Batting average could be volatile depending on where he hits in this Rays lineup. Runs and RBIs could be all right. 9% owned for the young Carson Williams on Yahoo. He's shortstop eligible as well. Definitely somebody, like I said, that has that prospect pedigree that you kind of want to say, hey, grab him while he's hot. League might not have time to adjust to his bat right now, and he could just go out there, take advantage for the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then bang, he helped you, contribute to a fantasy baseball championship. So top 50 prospect Carson Williams, Tampa Bay Rays, 9% owned on Yahoo. Nice little sneaky power speed combo ad.
Yeah, and honestly, when it comes to this kind of production, right? You got to kind of ignore the batting average capabilities. Carson Williams never really hit for average. You look at his batting profile in the minors, and his best season in the minors was straight up 256, and that's okay. I'll go with that. In all honesty, if you're stealing me that many bases and you're hitting power, who gives a flying? This is the kind of production that, okay, I can make up somewhere else in the batting average category. You're stealing bases, you're hitting for power, you're on a good team, and he also goes to another AAA park, which means that the consistency in terms of power is going to carry over as long as he can just adjust to the big league pitching, which I think he can. So this is interesting. It actually is one of those September calls we always dream about and talk about. That's okay, these are the difference makers that when they get called up could be the difference of, thrusting you to the championship game and burying you if you have to face him and you didn't make the move fast enough. So Carson Williams is somebody you definitely want to add. But let's move on. Let's switch over some pitching. Let's talk about Brian Abreu of the Houston Astros, the closer now that Josh Hader has unfortunately has hit the IL, and I'm not even sure if he comes back this season. Is there a rush? Do they just wait until the last week of baseball when fantasy baseball isn't relevant anymore? Unless you play in a really bad league where you play that last week, cough, cough, JP. It's one of those things where okay, does Brian Abreu actually get you across the finish line? Because it's not just, Hader that's hurt. It's also, Sosa that's hurt as well. Bennett Sosa. So there's really nobody there that can actually supplant Brian Abreu at this point, and unless there's somebody that comes out of left field and kind of just says, hey, we're going to take this from you now. So Abreu, I think, pretty much just got this job locked down to the end of the season, and he's already gotten, 2 saves over the last week, 3 saves over the last 2 weeks since Hader's gone down, and the opportunities are going to be there for him on a decent team. And I think that to handle that business, he hasn't really, it's not like he has some ridiculous ERA, through 15 innings. He does have a 1.52 ERA with a .99 whip. The stats are great in those terms. And on top of that, he actually fits the mold of a guy I like for a closer in general because he's over a K per inning. is enticing. Like, hey, like he's actually producing like a top end closer, in my opinion. A guy that would, if he had a job and was able to maintain this for a full season, would be a guy I gravitate to because of the K per inning, because of the opportunity, and because he's able to keep his ERA down. So Brian Abreu is somebody that's very attractive to me right now. And okay, I would say probably the number 2 overall add, so moving Royce Lewis down, but a guy that I feel like, being 54% owned, you need to add him now before he's absolutely unavailable in all leagues. So Brian Abreu is a must add.
Yeah, man, I'm with you on Abreu. This might be the easiest ad. Like he might not be the number one player, but I think it's the easiest ad. You don't really get opportunities to grab a closer for one of the better teams in baseball this late in the year. As Matt said, Hader might not be back. There might not, or at least might not be back until the regular playoffs, right? The Astros might not see the need to push him at this point in the season. Abreu's been really good, 3 saves through 58 appearances. 2 of those 3 saves came last 2 out of 3 games for Abreu, 59 innings on the season, 89 strikeouts. No reason not to add a guy that's 54% owned on Yahoo. Honestly, I'd add Abreu anywhere he's available right now. I'd find the room for it. But before we move on and talk about when is Kyle Bradish back, we got Parker Messick, who had a monster debut for his debut with the Guardians, and then we got a couple of more starting pitchers. Those names and more coming up next. Oh, and I think we lost Matt, so I'm going to take this one, but give me 1 sec, folks.
All right, look, it's August 26th. It's officially FanDuel's Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling the MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown the Super Bowl champion for before week 1, even kickoff, this is your moment. Take a flyer on MVP race, crown your champion in August, or parlay your division winners in a FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now, because future is one day and one day only. And guess what? I actually have one for you, and I got a full-blown parlay. Cubs to win the World Series. Detroit to win the Super Bowl. And I'm going to get real bold. Penn State to win the championship. Place $50 on future day of all days, and you're going to get $70,000 if that whole bet parlay wins. 70 on a $50 bet. Now, we can play those games all day long. Stay tuned. I actually think this has a really good chance to win. Check it out. FanDuel, play your game. All right. Without further ado, Dom, take us away.
Yeah, and all right, let's keep things pushing here, and let's talk about Kyle Bradish, man. He's on his way back, and it looks like he's actually projected to start this Tuesday. So listen, if he's available in your league, I think he should have been owned by now, especially in any league that's competitive, because Bradish had such a great success last time we saw him. And I don't see why he wouldn't, just be just as good, because he's been pretty good down in the minors. Overall, like I said, it's been pretty good. Not great, but good enough. It was a 4.91 ERA, a 1.41 WHIP, 25 innings, only 8 walks. 25 strikeouts, only 8 walks, and 22 innings. And that was over his assignment in Double-A. But you know what, man? He, like I said, Tuesday against the Red Sox, I don't think it's a super tough matchup. Them boys could hit on any given night. But you know what? I think Kyle Bradish is somebody that we're not going to find a pitcher like him. Only 20% owned on Yahoo. Last time we saw him, we're going to grab you those numbers because he was so good. The last time we saw him, I know it was like a sub-3 ERA, well over a strikeout per 9. He's got the talent. He was starting to really figure it out. Let me get you those exact numbers. Yeah, so last time we saw Kyle Bradish, oh, Lord, if my computer wants to work with me here. Yeah, here we go. In 2024, it was 8 starts, 2.75 ERA, 39 innings, 53 strikeouts, which was monstrous, and it was a 106 whip. Before that, in 2023, it was 30 starts of a sub-3 ERA, 2.83 ERA, 168 innings, 168 strikeouts, 104 whip. So Kyle Bradish, just that needs that little extra fine-tuning. Might take him a start or two, but I think around the time, if you're competing here in the playoffs, that you get to the second round, I want to say Kyle Bradish should be putting those 6-inning starts up of, 1 earned run with over a K per 9. So no reason, not to go out there. And even if you don't want to throw him out there in the first start against the Red Sox, even if you want to be a little bit safe, I'm not going to blame you. But I definitely at least go out there and add Bradish so he can't be used against you.
I'm actually a big Bradish guy. Like, Bradish is one of my favorite pitchers. Going into last season, he was a guy I held with a high esteem, and like truly, like he started off that season like a bat out of hell until Tommy John just had to unfortunately cut that short, because like you look at what he did for, and it was like a 2.75 ERA through 39 innings with 53 strikeouts, and just really was crushing everybody. Even his FIP was a 250. Like the dude was looking like, okay, cool, about to pick up right where I left off in 2023. We finished with a sub-3 ERA, a 2.83 ERA through 168 innings with 168 strikeouts. Like the dude was really crushing it, and I have a lot of hope. Obviously, when you come back from Tommy John's control is the last thing that comes back. So like ultimately you're going to have those blow up games and things like that. So yeah, like Boston may not be the best one because they've just been crushing the ball like crazy. And I mean, you got to look out for Roman Anthony and things like that. But like, I think honestly, look, this is that kind of week. Like, okay, you picked him up. Kyle Bradish is at a point where, hey, like I may not need to start him, especially if I'm like the first place team. And like, okay, cool. Like I can kind of hold off and I know I got this locked down. I think the second start is going to be the one. So like it may only take one. He might be able to handle the Red Sox, which I hope he can. Screw Boston. But there is that world where he just comes out back and his lights out. But also too, like even if it's not, like I think it's just a one and done type deal. He got lit up in the minors before coming back, but I mean maybe it's just a control thing, and now he figures it out when he comes out back to the bigs, because he might be working on something too. So we'll see. I like Kyle Bradish for this year. Must add 100%. I've been stashing him for a while now. But let's move on. Let's talk about Parker. So I like Parker, actually. When he got the call this season, I was pretty excited. Even though he's had a rough go over the last month, he's one of those guys where like be able to come out and do something for us. Now 6% owned is something, and there is that risk. Now, I don't have his matchup for instance, but I know he's skipping past the Yankees, which he's a lucky man for, because
looks like Tampa Bay on Tuesday,
which it isn't a terrible matchup, but isn't a like cupcake matchup either, especially what we're talking about with Carson Williams, and Lau and things like that being on that team. But still, it's still a dangerous matchup, him pitching. But I might roll him out there if the opportunity rises where I don't have to worry about ERA, because he can go out there and get the strikeout. So I'm adding him, but again, tentatively more in a deeper league play, like 15-man leagues, 6% owned.
Yeah, Messick had a little bit of success in his debut, so that's the reason he's being brought up here. Went 6.2 innings, got 6 strikeouts, 1 earned run, 120 whip against the Diamondbacks on August 20th. As Matt mentioned, Tampa Bay, a hit or miss kind of lineup. They can go out there on any given night and be successful. But Messick is the number 12 prospect in the Guardian system. Was pretty solid in AAA this year, 3.47 ERA, 98 innings, 119 strikeouts, 1.22 whip. So if you want to go out there and risk it for the strikeouts, go for it. If not, I don't blame you. But Messick, nice little 5% owned kind of guy on Yahoo, out there in pretty much every league. So go out there and snag him. Matt, jump in, brother.
So my bad. I was talking about the wrong Parker Messick, because there's two apparently. I had no idea. There's one for there's one for the Angels and one for the Cleveland Guardians. And again, I said Angels. For the Guardians, this kid is a stud. I actually really like him. I did add him, and he's somebody that had a great first outing. I'm definitely going to add him again going up against Tampa Bay. Lit up Arizona, so I'm all about it. But Dom continues to the next guy.
Yeah, no, Matt, honestly, I zoned out there for a second, so I apologize for not catching that one. But let's talk about you, Darvish, real quick. The old wily veteran still around getting it done, and honestly, I'm surprised to be talking about him here. But you know what? His last 3 out of 5 starts have been good. He gets Seattle on Wednesday. I know that Seattle lineup's looking a little bit more deadly since the trade deadline, but still it's in Seattle. It's a good park to pitch in. Darvish has been good of late. And again, his last one was against the Dodgers, went 6 innings, gave up 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts, 0.33 whip, got the win. He's been giving you length, 6 innings in 2 out of his last 3 starts. I'd go out there and snag him. Not my favorite guy to throw out there, but if you're in a pinch going into Wednesday and you want to throw Darvish out there, I think you'll at least get a decent whip. The ERA has been a little bit elevated, but, he's been better at 3 out of his last 5 starts. So there's a chance that Darvish could be useful. I'm not banking on it, but, hey, he's out there in 60% of leagues, 40% owned on Yahoo. That's you, Darvish, starting pitcher for the San Diego Padres.
So my thing with Darvish is, okay, look, if your ERA is absolutely screwed by Wednesday, because that's when this start comes, then, yeah, roll him out there. If not, I'm probably going to pass on him. It's just one of those things where you kind of just got to avoid that. Like, okay, Darvish has the ability to get blown up, so I'm going to avoid him. But if my ERA is completely in the toilet already, then yeah, sure, which would suck for your week, but it is what it is. Let's move on. Last guy, I'm going to spit him in real quick. Braxton Ashcraft of the Pittsburgh Pirates, starting pitcher. He's been really good of late. He's 10% owned, handled Colorado, handled Chicago, handled Cincy, got lit up against San Francisco, whatever, and whatnot. But he's been so up and down, but he's been hot of late. He goes up against St. Louis on the 27th, which is actually a pretty decent start on Wednesday. And I think he can probably handle them pretty well too, because I'm not really scared of them at all. So ultimately, like, hey, Ashcraft is somebody you really do need to add at that point, and I think should be a decent start. So I think the kid is, if he can repeat what he did against Colorado with, a win, 5 innings, 6 strikeouts, and no earned runs, you're in for a good start. So I'm adding him and starting him everywhere. Guys, thank you for hanging out with us. Unfortunately, his laptop died just now, so he's not able to end the show and give you his half of the thing. So thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. For your second listen, check out Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get your local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night Locked On MLB, Locked On MLB, or your YouTube, or wherever you're getting your podcast. And make sure to check us out on the Insider Track and share the show wherever you can, because it really helps out the show. Take care, guys. Peace out.